I pose this question to you guys, and we can pause and take whatever answer time we need to for this. But you've got people with free will, right? That don't like to do what they're told because they want to do it their own way. They want to go out and discover it. These are the do-it-yourselfers, right? These are the folks like us. We go out, we do it, we fuck it up, we try again, we fuck it up, we try again, and so on and so on and so on, right? And that's the only way you actually learn magic, is to actually go do it, is to actually go through the process. So all we can do is act as a guide. So when the opportunity comes to do internal and spiritual enlightenment, development, whatever, what have you, in whatever kind of way, the opportunity to not have to focus on what's going on in the big arching overall communities all the time. Like arch sorcery is that field. It's like the Rubik's Cube as the whole giant, every Rubik's Cube together, trying to solve the whole thing for what is the Rubik's Cube, right? Of creation in whatever kind of way. And so when we play with the variations and possible forms, like the Rubik's Cube is a perfect example of an Enochian cube, right? And the way that you change the faces on it and the way that you do all of these things, you can get the different results and you can conjure that out. Now, bearing that in mind, puzzles and people that don't want to do what they want, don't want to do what they're told, they have to discover their own way, right? The world as it exists now is one where people are free to do their own way without forced guidance, without all of those things. It's the Wild West of the world, right? And that's the thing about the Academy, right? Like you see how rigid I am in certain things. You see how inflexible and unyielding I am in certain aspects of my character and what I will and will not permit as far as how I structure what I do, right? This is to provide a safety net in a structured learning environment. So when you guys go out there, I know that you know the foundations that aren't going to injure people unless it's necessary because of protection and all of the things that happen, right? My question is, how rigid should this process be?
Well, I mean, talk about rigid, you mean bluntness, right? How blunt should it be?
Yeah.
Witchcraft is witchcraft. I mean, you present it as it is. They're either going to find it intriguing or find it offensive. Like, present it as it is. Yeah. Look, here's how you do it. Here's what everything's made up of. Here's what you say, and here's when you say it. Bam. Like, it doesn't get more clear cut than that. It's just how you do it, the intent you put behind it, the outcome you get from the intent that you put into it. Like, it all plays a role. And the more they understand that, and the more that they progress through that, the more they'll discover their power. But it's really how much they put into it. So it doesn't matter if you're not blunt or if you're blunt. It ultimately lies on what they learn. Honestly, I would say be more blunt. Like, show them the scary shit right up front.
Okay. All right. What about you? All sitting there quiet down there.
You gotta be blunt. Witchcraft isn't sugar and spice and everything nice. It's downright your energy, what you put into it. If you're coming into witchcraft thinking you're gonna have this oh sweet little thing to do, it doesn't work that way.
Not at all.
Blunt. Teach them the right way the first time.
This is
they may try and fail, but that's part of learning. You got to be blunt. It's not a game.
You didn't fail, you didn't try.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, the more blunt you are, the more people are going to understand. It's not a game.
No.
This is you and what you want from it. Like Mike said, it's your intent. It's your energy you put behind it. The intent you put behind the words you use.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Have fun.
Yeah, because ultimately your words, your language, it's spelling. What is that spell? It's a spell. It's
Casting.
yeah, the power comes from the intent of that spell. See
Right.
manifestation creation there. It kind of,
Right.
words have power. And when you use them correctly, in correct order, with correct names at correct times, you get correct results.
Thank you. Yes. But I'd like to see, and that's the rigidity, right? That is an absolutely correct statement. That has to happen. Without that, boom, no magic. Or but it's flexible, right? That is a container. That's a schema. That's the form it needs to take, right? When it's used, right? What is it serving? Right? So when I'm tapping into these things and I'm giving you these spells to say that I've used in various forms before, right? Like I know these words inside and out and I'll use them in different ways because I know what they're going to do, right? I know how to manipulate the structure of the spell I'm giving in the moment so that the words that will land in the right kind of frequency to achieve that result based upon the mechanics and structure I already know.
Right.
Now, that's the trust part. The application of it is the meaning why it's important, right? There's a lot of people that do magic because they're hateful or they're evil or they're whatever it is. They're in the moment, right? When I'm giving you these spells of power, straight up, this is power. And I'm delivering that power through transmission of English language, right? I'm not speaking in Enochian, I'm not speaking in tongues, I'm speaking in plain English so people can understand. This stuff can be translatable if you're willing to take the time to learn the foundation of what these things make you feel like and what these things do when you say the words with the feeling, right? I am based in a state of joy and bliss and happiness and oneness when I'm saying this, because I trust that in that state, the words that I use will be that power to destroy the adversarial forces which it's going against. Because through that connection and oneness and the understanding of the gravitas, that density of the situation, that becomes the necessary catalyst to change the world. Right? People talk about reality bending and all of these kinds of things. Well, this is how you do that. Right?
Yep. That
moment can be occurring at any point in your day. You have to be able to go into it like that so that whatever comes out of your spell, is it a spell? Is it a mantra? Is it a meditation? Is it a thing? Is whatever you need it for. Business, personal life, sex life, doesn't matter. Spiritual life, fucking go for it. Right? Doesn't matter. It's that moment that matters. And people deny people's legacies over that moment because they don't understand it. When people are writing down prayers and the spells that work, they're tapping into that moment, that specific moment. That's why spells work, is because it's in that moment and only in that moment when everything comes through in a source of pure, unadulterated you and bliss. Without that adventurous spirit, without Sandy being able to take up her wand, knowing that there's a name that's attached to it, knowing that there's a name on the stone, discovering both, that joy of illumination reinforces the trust, reinforces the harmony, reinforces the balance and the vibration and everything moving forward without corruption. You're going to do a spell of change on somebody. When you offer up dark magic, right? Like the best application of a dark sorcery spell that I love to do, right? Like these are one of my favorites. Is it taps into that state that Vision was talking about in his Mind Valley masterclass training, right? Where there is this sort of the universe creates a sort of chaos around you while it's letting your spirit find you the right path to walk through it. So by you aligning all of the darkness and all of the things with the energy and the intangible forces of the earth, and you aligning your body with those rhythms, that this is the path that you have to walk through. The thing is, you're already walking through that path. You're just catalyzing and you're forcing it into some sort of form, right? You're giving it a body. You're giving it a thing so that it exists. And then you have to work with it. You have to deal with whatever energy comes as a result of you creating the singularity. That becomes the relationship between you and magic, right? That becomes the relationship of what are you going to do with that zap next time you use that spell, right? Like, you know that charge will happen. You're expecting that charge. The better you do your magic over time, the less it becomes as like noticeable, because it just becomes rote energy. It's like that you don't have to think so hard about moving your hands and fingers, right? It's just that energy as it moves. It's that trust. It's that joy. When you're doing these spells, when you're doing these kinds of moments, do them because of that joy and illumination that you feel in that moment. Remember that. That's that spark. That's that force that keeps it going. That's how we do it. Every time. And if you can't get into that state every time, then you need to be able to do those meditations of division. You need to be able to separate yourself from the world around you. You need to make the world fall away. You need to be able to get into the zero mind state. You get that thing in the corner lurking at you again?
No, I thought somebody was in the hallway. Jim's not here, so I don't know who it was. But having fun.
Critters. Critters, critters, critters. All day long, it's critters.
I don't know.
You never know what the critters are going to be. But anyway, this is some shit, folks.